No one ever remembers the night nurse until the night changes everything. That's how Sarah would describe her life. And by the end of this story, you'll understand why. Before we begin, if this story touches your heart, please like this video and subscribe to True Ember Stories, where every story lights a spark of kindness. Sarah didn't choose the night shift. The night shift chose her. For 5 years, Nurse Sarah Malik walked through the cold sliding doors of St. Jude's Hospital every evening at 7 p.m., ready to face another long, lonely night. While most people were winding down their days with their families or watching TV, Sarah was tying her hair back, slipping on her light blue scrubs, and entering a world of silent corridors, flickering monitors, and beeping machines. It wasn't that Sarah disliked her job. In fact, she had once loved it deeply. But something about working night after night without a real connection wore her down over time. The other nurses were kind, but came and went. The patients, well, most of them slept or stayed quiet. And the few who were awake were often in too much pain to talk. Sarah had grown used to the isolation. Her smile became mechanical. Her hands moved with muscle memory. No one ever noticed the weariness in her eyes. No one ever asked if she was okay. Until Mr. Patel. He was wheeled in just after midnight on a rainy Tuesday. Room 209. Severe stroke. No family present. Age 78. Status: critical but stable. Sarah didn't expect much. She had seen dozens of stroke patients come and go. Some recovered, some didn't. Most stayed silent. But from the first time she entered his room, something felt different. There he was, frail, brown-skinned, with a thick head of silver hair and eyes that flickered open just enough to track her every move. He couldn't speak. Not yet. But he watched her. Every night, Sarah would talk to him as she worked. Not because she expected a reply, but because she was tired of silence. "Good evening, Mr. Patel. Rain's coming down hard tonight. Your vitals look better today. I brought a little music. Hope you don't mind old jazz." And then one night, a week after he arrived, she walked in and said, "Another lonely night, huh?" And Mr. Patel blinked, twice. Slowly. Intentionally. It startled her. "You heard me, didn't you?" she whispered. He blinked again. That tiny moment cracked something wide open in Sarah. From that night on, she poured her heart into his care, not just as a nurse, but as a human being who finally felt seen. She learned his background through bits of information from the hospital record. Indian American, retired math professor, widowed, no kids. That was all. But Sarah filled in the rest with stories she imagined aloud to him. She talked about how he probably loved tea and crossword puzzles. She imagined he had once danced with his wife in their small living room to Nat King Cole. And then she began to talk about herself. About her mother's passing 2 years ago. About how her younger brother stopped speaking to her after the will. About how she always worked the night shift because it was the only time her heart didn't feel so heavy. "I guess we're both a little alone, huh?" she said one night, her hand gently resting on his. And for the first time, he gripped it back, softly, like a whisper. Word spread around the ward that Mr. Patel only responds to Nurse Sarah. It became a little joke. But to Sarah, it was no joke. It was the first real connection she had felt in years. She began bringing small things to his room. A photo of her cat, a scarf her mom had knitted, her favorite book of poetry. She read to him. She smiled more. She lived more. And slowly, Mr. Patel improved. He began moving one hand, then nodding, and eventually, forming broken words. "Thank you," he mouthed one night. Sarah's eyes welled up with tears. "Why?" she whispered. He blinked, smiled weakly, and said, "You brought me back." 2 months later, Mr. Patel was moved to rehab. Sarah cried on his last night at the hospital, not out of sadness, but gratitude. He took her hand and whispered, "You saved me, Sarah." She replied softly, "You saved me first." But this story doesn't end there. Weeks later, Sarah received a letter, handwritten, elegant. It was from Mr. Patel. He had no children, no heirs. But he had started a small scholarship in her name, the Night Nurse Light Fund, a yearly gift to help nurses pursuing night shift work in under-resourced hospitals. He ended the letter with, "You lit up my darkest nights, Sarah. May you always remember, you were never truly alone." That night, Sarah walked into the hospital, the same cold doors sliding open. But something was different. She stood taller, smiled wider. And when someone asked her, "Another long night?" she answered, "No, a night full of purpose." Dear viewer, if this story moved you, if it reminded you that even in the darkest hours, connection can save a life, please like this video and subscribe to True Ember Stories. Your support helps us bring more stories of compassion, courage, and unexpected kindness to light. Because sometimes, a single moment, a single patient, can change everything.